Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Insight series from NR Securities. Bruno, I'm the CEO, co-founder at NR Securities. It's my pleasure to receive today Wagi Mentality. He's from Lumix. He will present himself. He's Chief Biz Dev Officer at Lumix. We know each other for some time, and he is one of the best writers and best opinion makers about ordinals, about Bitcoin, about NFTs. So we are here today to talk a little bit about real-world assets on ordinals, what to expect in 2024, what are his lookings, are his forecasts, the tendencies, and everything else about real-world asset on ordinals. So please, Wagi, welcome. Present yourself, present a little bit of what you are doing at Lumix, the projects, and let's go to the subjects later.
Hello, Bruno. So thank you so much for the introduction and the invitation. And of course, thank you for everyone that is here with us today, sharing your time with us to this conversation about real-world assets on Bitcoin and on ordinals. And just giving like a quick introduction about myself. As Bruno mentioned it, I am the Business Development Director here at Lumix. I don't know if everyone is familiarized with Lumix, but we are an abstraction solution for enterprises joining Web3. So since 2022, we have already worked with like huge brands here in Brazil, like Meta, Facebook, Coca-Cola, ABI, Reserva, that's a huge fashion brand that we have here in Brazil. And currently right now, we have three main active projects, one with Grêmio Futebol Clube, the other one with Simpla, focused on ticketing, and then the third one with Elo, focused on decentralized identities. As you guys can see, we have like a pretty agnostic way of like working with brands, since like blockchain nowadays is so like ample. And the way that we work with those brands is like by creating easier path, not only for them, but also for their customers to join like this space in a much easier and safer way that we had like a few months ago. And of course, Bruno, it's a huge pleasure to be here today because real world assets is definitely one of the main subjects that we're going to see next year when we talk about crypto. And when we talk about Ordinals and Bitcoin is perhaps one of the most hyped subjects nowadays. So make the correlation with both of them. It's just an amazing idea.
Perfect. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for accepting the invite. This is the inaugural live of our Insight series. And I want to start with one of your articles that you shared on Cointelegraph. It's very interesting. Let me share the screen. Paula, if you can put the screen up for everyone to see. Yeah. So Bitcoin fragments could become more valuable than full Bitcoin. This is your article, one of your articles for Cointelegraph Global. I'm sharing now the link on our chat. So I want to understand a little bit more how can this be possible, and how does it work really? Like the inscriptions, we don't need to go like deep on the technical details, but just for who is watching us to understand a little bit. What can we do? You gave some examples already about ticketing, about loyalty programs. So please describe a little bit.
Okay, so this was actually my first article for Cointelegraph Global, like in May of 2023. And just giving like a step back to explain like what are ordinals for everyone that is here. Ordinals is a protocol that was created at the beginning of 2023, so like a super early protocol that basically enables you to insert, or as we call inscribe, any type of like files into the Bitcoin blockchain, like where the file is 100% stored on the Bitcoin chain. So you could create, for example, NFT collections using the Ordinals protocol. You could create like music storage by using the Ordinals protocol, like storage the files onto the Bitcoin blockchain. And you could of course, create also real world asset solutions or like general tokenized solutions into the Bitcoin blockchain using Ordinals. So as I mentioned it, like it's a protocol that enables you to inscribe anything you want on the chain. And the way that it does that is by enabling you to like see the whole Bitcoin blockchain as each Satoshi that are like the smallest amount of like the Bitcoin are all different from each others. And that's why it's called ordinals, because Satoshis are numerized in an ordinary way where you have like the first Satoshi, the second Satoshi, the third Satoshi, the fourth Satoshi, and then all Satoshis become like kind of NFTs, because like each one of them have a unique characteristic. And then the Ordinals protocol enables you to choose the Satoshi you want, so like a specific Satoshi on the chain, and then insert the file that you want onto that Satoshi, and then you can create your own digital artifact, as the Ordinals protocol calls, on the Bitcoin chain. So when we're talking about Bitcoin fragments becoming more valuable than full Bitcoins, is the narrative that we're seeing right now, where once again, one Satoshi with a specific file inserted on it could have like a bigger value than the Satoshi itself, because of the file that it has like inscribed on it. So giving perhaps a like a simple example, nowadays there is a collection, an NFT collection that is called Ordinal Maxi that once again, those are only Satoshis with a JPEG, so a image inscribed on that Satoshi. And each Ordinal Maxi or each Satoshi with a file attached to it, it's being sold right now at zero point 0.6 or 60% of a Bitcoin on the market. So once again, we have like one Satoshi equals zero point 0.6 Bitcoins. And once again, this is only a simple example I just gave you guys, like of you inserting images onto Satoshis to create NFT collections. But once again, these protocols enable you to create everything you wish. So for example, you could tokenize tickets or other like real world assets into Bitcoin nowadays using this protocol. And Bruno, just to conclude this perspective, it's important to say that Ordinals is not the first and not the only protocol that enables you to do this kind of like experiments and like actions, but it's definitely the protocol that brought like this perspective and like culture of using the Bitcoin blockchain for you to insert data on it. So in 2014, we had like a protocol that was called Counterparty, that it already enabled you to do that. Then we also had another protocol called Stamps, but none of them are ramped up. Like all of them ended up dying, like no one used them. And Ordinals is like a fever, like everyone's talking about it, like all the big magazines, the big builders, because it definitely like became something cultural on the space. So I believe that that was perhaps the biggest milestone of the Ordinals protocol, not to firstly enable you to insert data on the chain, but to make these actions and like perspective of using Bitcoin as a data layer, as like a multi-data layer, something like kind of mainstream in the underground world of Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that's very interesting, because when we get, like, for example, the Bitcoin maximalists, this could be that, let's say, a way for them to start accepting more, or to getting into tokenized assets, or into real world assets, into, let's say, layer 2 applications, and assets that are different from Bitcoin. So this is, in my vision, is an opportunity to reach a market that was only focused on Bitcoin and Bitcoin one and only.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one of the hottest news for the Bitcoin community in 5 or 10 years, because I think they were expecting something like that, because Ethereum
Mm-hmm.
it's getting traction. The other chains, Polygon, Avalanche, they're all very advanced in terms of tokenization, on asset tokenization, on layer twos in general. So
Mm-hmm.
for the community, I believe it was very great news, and the
Yeah.
possibility to split the Bitcoin in 8 decimals, right? The Satoshi. So it
Mm-hmm.
creates more fractionalization to the network. So
Mm-hmm.
there can be more and even more like applications to it. So how do you see in 2024 now, since we are like 10 days to the new year? How do you see this narrative and these applications growing and getting market share from the other ones? And I just get to the second one. How do you see this in some way competition between Bitcoin and Ethereum on asset tokenization, on real world assets and real world applications?
Okay, this is an amazing question because just like a few weeks ago, Casey Rodamore, that is the creator of Ordinals protocol, was elected by, I believe, CoinDesk as the main persona in crypto in 2023. So by CoinDesk, like by everyone that was involved in the worldwide crypto like space, Casey was selected as like the main personality because of this creation. Because once again, uh, he just created a movement that until now the market is not certain yet if like ordinals are a good or a bad thing for Bitcoin. Because in one way, as you mentioned it, you are generating more possibilities and more like ways of like working with Bitcoin. So in the past, we had like the narrative of Bitcoin being like a P2P cash system that you could trade like Bitcoin worldwide. Then this narrative changed a little bit to Bitcoin being like hard money, so like a store of value of like a gold 2.0. And then we are seeing like the emergence of a new narrative that would be Bitcoin being like a data or storage layer for other applications like Ethereum. So once again, this is like a huge change of like perspective when we're talking about Bitcoin. So when you look like into this side, it's perfect. But in the other side, as the maximalists always say, ordinals are kind of polluting or like damaging the Bitcoin network because once again, each block and like just out of curiosity, it's able to storage like only 4 MB or of information. And on the way that the Bitcoin blockchain work, you have like around one block being mined or produced each 10 minutes. And these blocks are normally filled with transactions. But when you are like inscribing ordinals or other type of data, you are using and competing for that space. So for example, if me, Lug, I inscribe a huge image like of this article on Cointelegraph on a full block, and Bruno wants to like trade Bitcoin, but I pay more fees and then occupy the whole block, then Bruno won't be able to transfer his money and he needs to wait 10 more minutes and pay much more than he would have to pay because once again, I'm using like a lot of the chain storage to insert images and other type of files. So once again, in one hand, we have like this perspective or ordinals bringing new life and opportunities to the chain. But in the other hand, we have like this view of ordinals polluting the chain with data that are not like as important as the transaction data and everything. Once again, we still don't have like an answer for like if ordinals are good or bad for Bitcoin. From what I see, okay, the majority of the marketing are pro ordinals because since you make like the first layer more expensive and like kind of slower, you incentivize second layers around Bitcoin to develop themselves. And being like really truly honest here, like second layers on Bitcoin are like super underdeveloped, like compared to like other like secondary layers when we're talking about Ethereum and everything. Because once again, until now, the only narrative that you used to have was stack sets and be humble. No one was like really using the chain to trade like Bitcoin and to send Bitcoin like on day to day. But now we have a bunch of people using it. And once again, it kind of obligates like those second layers and everything to develop themselves. And this is like super important. And for example, Binance only connected, like created like a route between Binance and Lightning. That's one of the most famous Bitcoin second layers because of ordinals. They said, hey guys, it's expensive. We need a new route for you to trade Bitcoin. So now we implemented Lightning with Binance. Coinbase also announced that they will do the same integrations. So in one hand, you are like pushing the ecosystem, like a hard push to develop like itself around scalability. And I think this is amazing. And Bruno, as you also perfectly mentioned it enables you to also take some use cases that already worked on Ethereum and try them in Bitcoin. That is like a different blockchain that like its trade-offs, but at the end of the day, we could say that is more secure. So if you want to use like perhaps Bitcoin as a settlement layer or anything similar to Ethereum, now you could because you have more programmability on the chain than you used to have before ordinals. Yeah, and before I talk about the trade-offs between like Ethereum competing with Bitcoin, do you want to add something because I talked a lot right now, or should I continue?
I mean, in my vision, from the marketing stand of view, we both agree that it's a very strong narrative. It's like one of the hottest from 2023 and one of the hottest for 2024, along with the real world assets. So by combining both of them, it's a very, like, let's say in terms of marketing of narrative, it's a very explosive in a good or bad way. We will talk about that. And since you gave this counterpoint, let's say about look, we still don't know how that work because Bitcoin was a P2P cash system, and then it became a store of value. So we have examples in El Salvador, for example. We have good adoption, but not 100% adoption in the country because people they are used already to see Bitcoin as an investment, as a store of value, not as a payment method. So this will now, we expect now to push a lot, and we are seeing from Binance, from Coinbase, pushing a lot the Lightning network, because this is the real payment system inside Bitcoin, has the scalability, has the speed, and the costs. So we may see in 2024 Lightning network also getting traction, more traction than already has. So do you see it the same way? And then I wanna bring to the a little bit about the polemic.
Okay. So just bringing one thing, like when we were talking about El Salvador, like adoption, I believe that I can assume that in the history of Bitcoin, we never had such a moment in time where like things were being pricified and sold by Bitcoin. So once again, we're talking about like digital assets because the main volume that we have right now in Ordinals are NFT collections and fungible token collections created through the Ordinals protocol. But it's crazy. Like the amount of volume that you see day by day is just like, once again, crazy. And I believe it's like historical for Bitcoin because I believe that even in the El Salvador adoption, like a few years ago, we didn't have so many people, once again, using Bitcoin as a cash, day-to-day cash. And like we also not saw so many products being like precified in Bitcoin. Once again, we are talking about digital collections, but at the end of the day, you are buying and selling something that costs Bitcoins
Absolutely.
and not dollars. And that's why miners love ordinals because I think that only on 2017 you had a day where miners made more money into like transaction fees than nowadays. Or I don't know if we have already beat that record, okay? But once again, the ones that are super happy with this are miners because of this explosive usage of the Bitcoin blockchain for you to transact. Because once again, in the past, the only narrative that you had was be humble and stack sats. Why would you use your Bitcoin for something? You didn't have like anything to pay for with. There were no incentivize for that, and nowadays you have. And Bruno, talking about second layers on Bitcoin, there is a quote that I have that is that you only value Polygon, Arbitrum, Base, and second layer EVM layer choose when you pay $50 on Ethereum for the first time. So once again, until now, only a few people were using like the Bitcoin chain to make transactions. Like layer twos on Bitcoins were like they didn't have like any sense, like real usage. And nowadays they are having. And the marketing is starting to see how underdeveloped they were. Like I tried to use Lightning today, and I didn't manage to do that. Once again, the wallets in the Lightning chain are not UX friendly. The chain is not friendly. Until a few months ago, if I needed to send like money into Lightning, it wouldn't be like as simple as it's today that I can send like Bitcoin from Binance. So once again, in the good side, we are like obligating through a hard push the environment to devolve itself, especially those second layers that I could mention, perhaps Lightning, Stacks, and trustless computer that are the main like second layers that we see nowadays that are like really pushing to be like developed, understanding that once again, since the chain is going to be day by day more expensive because of ordinals, those second layers will be like essential for the good usage of the Bitcoin as a ecosystem.
Yeah, and let's converge in some point here. Like that was about time, right? Because we are talking about the mother of the cryptos, let's say,
Yeah.
uh, the oldest one, let's say the main one, the principal one in the ecosystem. We are seeing now like the ETFs to get approved in the USA. So the adoption in Brazil, for example, the crypto assets, they are the fourth
Mhm.
asset class to be invested. So it was in some way about time for the Bitcoin community and for the Bitcoin developers to understand that when you are the most important or the most valuable, the most trustable uh, chain and crypto in the world,
Mhm.
you need to be also in front or competing with the other one. So and at the end of the day, I that's my vision. I believe it will be very good uh, to stimulate the market, to bring new initiatives. Of course,
Mhm.
by being in El Salvador, in the Bitcoin country, we at Tenor Securities, we are 100% up to do and pushing uh, Bitcoin and Lightning and Ordinals initiatives on our digital and our security. So we really see it very positively, but we understand
Mhm.
that for any innovation, we have the ones that are playing against and the ones that are playing pro. So I just want to bring, I think it's your last article on Cointelegraph.
Mhm.
It's a very hard, as you said, it's a very acid but necessary one, just
Mhm.
to bring to the market on let's to some time, right, to the innovation, to let it settle, to let it develop before getting to end shows and start to really pollute the network, because this will be catastrophic for everyone, for Bitcoin maxis, for the Ordinals community. So want to share, please, Paula, from our backstage, just for the guys to see. Yeah, so
Mhm.
this is our last article on Cointelegraph Global about the Wagmi mentality. For those who doesn't know, don't know, the Wagmi is we are going to make it.
Mhm.
And Lugi said in his latest article that this mentality is in some way undermining crypto. So I want you to comment a little bit on it and to explain the vision you passed on the article, because
Mhm.
in some way I agree. Like in one side, we have the institutionals; they are urging to get into crypto, but with very calmly, right? So waiting and calculating their moves. And from the other side, we get the crypto community that, in some way, is ahead, but not used to this institutional, let's say, speed to getting into the
Mhm.
market. So it creates some anxiety in this middle. So please tell us a little bit of your vision, what motivated you to write that, if you had any
Mhm.
experience, and how uh, do you see this challenge in 2024? This is the biggest challenge for
Mhm.
ordinals. Let's create the cut here. What's the biggest challenge for ordinals in 2024?
Okay, amazing. I believe that like the biggest ordinals challenge and the biggest challenge that it brings for like all the like other chains besides Bitcoin is that once again, ordinals enable you to insert any type of file on any type of chains. And this is not exactly uh, sustainable or efficient because once again, for you to insert 100% of the file on chain, it's expensive and it occupies like a lot of like the block spaces nowadays. Just like giving you guys a bit of perspective, when you guys see like a NFT collection on Ethereum or other assets like on other chains, only one part of the file, perhaps like a timestamp or something similar like that, is on the chain that points to like centralized databases like EPFS. So for example, you have an NFT that you visualize it in like a HD way, like so high resolution, but the file that is on chain is like low resolution, but it points to a centralized database, and then you see the image of the centralized database, and this is like more efficient for like the majority of the use cases. Like it's rare that like inserting all the information on chain, it's the most effective way. And why I like this article that the Wagner mentality is undermining crypto, like so greed, irrationality, and anxiety have contributed to chaos in the crypto market, like in a general way, is that and we have like some good examples like from a few days ago. I don't know if you guys saw, but like just yesterday, to make one transaction on the Avalanche chain, you would have to pay $200 when normally it's around $0.05. And it was that expensive because of inscriptions on the Avalanche chain. So they like migrated this protocol from Bitcoin into a layer that aims to scalability. And once again, when we're talking about making things scalable, you would never think about inserting all the file on chain. And this like completely destroyed the chain experience. On Saturday, we also had like Arbitrum completely going down, like the chain went offline because of inscriptions on chain. So once again, the biggest power from the Ordinals protocol is also its biggest failure, because once again, it's good sometimes, a little times, like not all the times, but like for you to be able to insert all the files on chain. But in the majority of the use cases, it's not efficient, especially when we're talking about scalability. And that's why some like other protocols around Ordinals, like Taproot assets, are so important, because like Taproot assets kind of like enables you to do the same thing on Bitcoin, but in a much more scalable way, like where instead of you inserting all files on chain, you would only insert a timestamp that once again points to like outside files, and that's much healthier for the majority of use cases. But of course, that like the degen side, the irrational, the ones that only aims for like easy money, won't think about efficiency. They will think about how can I make quick gains, like how can I flip like the biggest amount of collection, how can I like make money and like take advantage of this hype. And this is the majority of the cases, like 100% of the cases, bad for the whole environment. Like as I mentioned it, the whole Avalanche experience was just destroyed because of inscriptions. Once again, like it's one of the trade-offs of decentralization and like sharing like a public database with everyone. But this was main leveraged by, once again, like degenerate behavior on the chain, that people said, oh my God, $10, it's expensive. Let's go higher. Let's see how much can we leverage like this whole gas fees like on the Avalanche chain. I don't care about anything. Let's just do it until everything is completely destroyed, until the point that I believe that we'll perhaps see all of those second layers and if, like alternative L1s blocking, okay, all like the ordinals usage or on their chain, or making something to create more barriers so it doesn't destruct the chain. But yeah, I believe this was a good example of when we're talking about descriptions. But in the general way, Bruno, I believe that you guys feel this every day, especially when we're talking about anxiety. It's once again, when everyone comes to crypto with this perspective that they will become millionaires in one day and by only putting like 10 reais in some like project, and then on the third day that any other project like valued more than their own bags, or that they project did like 100% X, they start to become like super anxious and to bother you in the project, and this is like really difficult. And there is like also a example that I love like sharing in crypto, that is taking as an example the Bored Ape Yacht Club, those famous monkeys. So once again, those monkeys were sold for like I don't remember 0.1 ETH, and the market itself leveraged the price to 200 ETH during the bull market. When someone pays 200 ETH for a Bored Ape, the expectation of this person is that Bored Ape will deliver 200 ETH of value. But it is impossible, because Bored Ape wasn't created to deliver 200 ETH of value. It was created to deliver 0.1 ETH of value. But the market doesn't think like that. And once again, it's we achieve a point that it's almost impossible for you like to be in good terms with your community, because once again, they first leverage your price up, and then they buy
Then
your
they hope for the
price. Yeah,
result.
euphoric, and of course that's impossible for you to deliver euphoria, and then they kill like you in your project. And once again, uh, build in public is a blessing, but sometimes it's difficult because like you're exposed to all of
Absolutely.
that. So that's why I have this perspective that this kind of greed, irrationality, and anxiety is undermining, because you're not only destroying good collections by this like greedy movement and everything, but you are also like directly affecting the builders by once again screaming into their faces that the token needs to go up. And then when the
Yeah.
token goes up, they ask for any kind of utility or returns that it's impossible for you to deliver. So yeah, nowadays that's one of the biggest critiques I have in the whole environment. But of course, that this is more direct and like yeah, more directed to like this more Web3 way of working, like ETF, like
Yes.
huge enterprises probably won't feel that's more related to the underground part of the crypto space.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you just mentioned about the board ape case. That's something I use on a daily basis. Let's say to explain how to traditional players. Let's say how the centralization can be benefic if its own community, the own communities, and the own investors they have good behaviors, right? So, and just adding to your phrase, I also agree with these conflicts, but that showcases in some way the need uh, for the market to have regulated, and in some ways we say Web 2.5, Web 2.5,
Mhm.
right? So this decentralized but centralized structures, more controlled environments, to create a more sustainable growth. So I believe that where Inor and Lumix are positioned in some way, like to bridge this gap, to create for the institutional, for the traditional side, environments that they are used to, that are friendly to them, and they are not this craziness that we see in the crypto space. So we here on Inor, we love to like create some separation between crypto and digital assets or
Mhm.
tokenized assets, because on the crypto world, we are talking about people that made like 100% or 1000% in some meme coin.
Mhm.
So this is not the real world in some way, the financial real world, let's say. So
They get addicted to that.
yeah, exactly, and that's something that the institutional won't get into, like uh, with huge amounts. They are looking for the let's say in some way the real deal in the technology, that is like to create better commercial conditions and better financial or marketing or loyalty instruments by using the blockchain technology. So we here we're starting to see from our point of view, we are building as also you, like for more than 2 years in the on bridging this gap, and now we are seeing that the technology, the blockchain technology, it's outcoming the cryptos. So
Mhm.
it's not anymore about cryptos that will make 100% or 1000%, but how can the blockchain technology, so what's behind the cryptos, can provide for not only financial institutions, as I said, but for football clubs, or for tickets companies, or for logistic companies. We have cases in South America about oil and gas logistic companies that are using blockchain to monitor their fleet. So in some way, this behavior of the crypto community is in some way showcasing that it's needed a centralized, in some way, structure to bring bigger players or traditional players from all sectors on the industry to the market. So in some way, it validates the thesis of the Web 2.5 companies to bridge this gap, like and to really show that it's a very scary environment in some way also to get into 100% decentralized, right? So I
Yeah,
think that's what we're working on. So
no,
yeah,
Bruno, I totally agree, especially when you were talking about like Web 2.5 and like this whole space as Web 3, that as you mentioned, is more about blockchain than cryptocurrencies. So blockchain as infrastructure. And especially when we're talking about like this context log of or like layer two solutions, Web 2.5, it's less and less about decentralization and it's more about programmability that you can do like through blockchain and of course the whole concept of like tokenization. So once again, that's why it's important for you to have like some like regulated and centralized action sometimes, because once again, imagine that you have Petrobras and JP Morgan working on Polygon in like a super specific use of the blockchain. And then and once again, this is one of the trade-offs of like using a public chain. Like you are exposed to like any kinds of variations, like a lot of projects using the same chain. But when you have like some anomalies, like we had like this weekend with Ordinals, you could
it
just
can burn the
destroy
business.
all the projects that are on chain because like of NFTs minting out. And once again, it's not necessarily anyone's fault. Like I'm not pointing fingers here, but I believe that is an alarm that needs to sound like higher and higher to show how we are still building in experimental platforms and infrastructures and how they need to like aim like fast for like scalability, because once again it could be the big day of a company that like is minting something, is doing like a super important on-chain transactions, and on the same time Lugi starts to mint the Lugi coin, and like 1 million Brazilians start to mint the Lugi coin and flood the chain. I could completely destroy like any other like project operation. Once again, I
It's a
reinforce.
new version of the DDoS attack.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a new version of the DDoS effect. Once again, it's not a like failure. It's not like anyone's fault. It's a trade-off that when someone's tra- wants to build under the blockchain, it needs to choose. But once again, I believe that we have healthier ways to do that and share this whole ecosystem. And once again, the majority of the times, this degenerate behavior, it hurts those applications and also hurts a lot like the majority of like native Web3 projects or like small and medium communities like the one that Edor is building right now, that once again are trying to do some serious business, but at the same time are competing with like a lot of meme coins. And then when someone say, hey Bruno, why your project is not duplicating every day like Pepe coin? And then you say, because it's not rational, I cannot do that. And then you will say, okay, Bruno, but I will
That's a
sell your project. Yeah, I will sell your project, Edor, and buy meme coin because it's paying more. And then once again, this degen
that's
behavior.
a challenge.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. I saw it a lot, especially when we were talking about gaming projects. That like in 2021, you had like uh, the release of like a lot of AAA gaming likes being released, and like the market expected that those games were going to be released like in 2 days because they wanted to pump their bags. But a game like that, it takes like 3, 4, 5 years to be delivered. And then when the gens understood that it was going to take much longer than they expected, what they did was they dumped their bags and then bought the next bubble that they saw, like boom crypto cars, anything like that. And once again,
And a lot of them
yeah,
were
that has
were
like,
were
yeah,
finished. Yeah.
indeed. So it's a huge uh, avenue for it to build like that. It has like its good and like bad trade-offs, like in general terms.
Yeah, and yeah, that's as I said, it's a daily challenge because
Mhm.
when growing, I see we can go in two ways, or very fast but not sustainable, or sustainable and growing a little every day. So we are just building the retrospective for 2023 on our developments, and from of course from our side, we wanted everything we wanted to be already in 2030 with 16 trillion tokenized real world asset market, but we understand it is a middle and long term approach. So uh,
Mhm.
we it's natural for those that are building in a sustainable way to have a reduced growth in the short term, but in the mid and long term, this growth to be accomplished in a more sustainable way. I always say, and we may not agree on this one, but I don't see the majority of let's say the other chains that are not, let's say, the top five surviving like from 10 years from now,
Mhm.
because everything or mainly the majority, right? So this majority was built on hype, and not with problem solving, and not with structure and sustainability. So it's very challenging to be surfing the right wave, but it's in a slower way, let's say, but in the mid and long term, building something that is sustainable and will grow and will be, let's say, pioneer and reference in the market. So yeah, that's my opinion. If you want, we are getting off almost 50 minutes. So if you want, give us your final considerations or opinion
Sure.
on my last affirmation here. So we go to the 2024 with the fresh mind.
Yeah. So let's go with a fresh mind, and perhaps I'm just giving like my last two considerations here. The first one is that I kind of like agree with you that we will only have like a few chains surviving in the future. Like nowadays, we have like a lot of chains that are like deserts, like there is no one using them, so there's like no meaning for their existence. But something seems super cool that we're starting to see, that it's perhaps one of my theses for 2024. It's the creation of blockchain ecosystems, I believe we could call that, through CDKs that are like chain development kits. So, for example, you have like Polygon as a chain that is starting to become an ecosystem. They are even going to change the name of their token from Matic to Pol to summarize this whole like new narrative and ecosystem change, where other chains are going to rebuild themselves with the Polygon infrastructure behind it. And this will allow Polygon to be like a general chain with a lot of super chains, as they call, around them that are specific for like some job to be done. So, for example, we have Canto that is specific for RWAs. We have Palm that is specific for like community projects. So all of them are migrating into this Polygon as CDK. We also have like a lot of chains being built around Polkadot. We have like now Tansi building like what we call app chains, that you can create your own chains like around the Polkadot ecosystem. So I believe that, yeah, instead of having like 5 chains, we will have like those ecosystems with a lot of chains with specific job to be done around them. And yeah, Bruno, just the last thing I would love to share, and coming back a little bit to the Ordinals narrative. Once again, I believe that what we're living now is like an historical moment for Bitcoin, because once again, it's not the first time that a protocol enables you to deploy any kind of like asset onto the Bitcoin blockchain and use Bitcoin blockchain as a multi-asset layer. But it's the first time that people are actually doing that and thinking in that way. So I believe that we are already in a moment that there is no coming back. And I think one of the most important things right now would be to understand all of those protocols that are being built around Bitcoin for this purpose. So once again, the Taproot asset protocol from Lightning, the Stacks protocol from the second layer
The
Stacks,
tips, guys. The tips now.
the tips, and of course the Ordinals protocol, and understand each job to be done. When should I use like each one of those protocols for the usage I aim? It's something similar to if I want to create a token on Ethereum, should I use the ERC20 protocol? Should I use the ERC71 protocol? Which protocol should I use to aim like to achieve what I'm aiming? Because as you said, we were talking about the mothership, we were talking about Bitcoin, we're not talking about like any chain. So for example, doing something that you could do on Ethereum, but now on Bitcoin with similar or better like results, I definitely believe that people will choose Bitcoin. That's why it's so important, and that's why we are still so early, because people are still stuck on the NFTs on Bitcoin through ordinals, and they still don't know about these other protocols and what is like really possible beyond like the noise that we have around ordinals and everything.
Yeah, so you're mentioning. Thank you for the considerations. You're mentioning something that's we see as necessary. Also, that's the educational barrier. You like for those who are want to develop or are starting to develop, to understand where to develop, right? To
Exactly.
understand the chains, the applications, the standards. You mentioned about the ERC20, the 721. We have the 3643 for tokenized real-world assets. So it's and we have also our educational initiatives, and of course we will create some content over there, because this as we in some way unite the chains on super powered ecosystems. We need to have like deep content educating about each one of the applications that are running over there. So this was a very important consideration, because when we talk about innovation, we also talk about education, and educating the
Yeah.
user, educating who is developing and facilitating and creating UX UI at the end of the day, for people to accept that innovation. Because when people accept the innovation, then it becomes a mainstream, and then it becomes irreversible, let's say. Of course we are on that already,
Mhm.
but there's of course a lot of space to go. So
Yeah.
please.
Just one last thing, that there
No,
is a
please.
quote that I love, that is education for builders and UX experience for users. So educated builders are able to create the best products and user experience for users. And at the end of the day, education is not what is going to onboard the masses. It is like or necessity or good products. We as builders are the ones that needs to be educated, and once again, like in general and technical terms, to be able to develop the best products as possible to, at the end of the day, onboards like the majority of users with a way that blockchain is invisible and not like a friction that will only like create barriers to onboard those users. And just to conclude here, Bruno, I always say that like Pix is perhaps the one of the biggest like accomplishments I've ever seen, right, from any country. And it only worked because it was simple and invisible. No one knows how Pix work. Like, Bruno, do you know how Pix work? I don't know, but I use it every day. So you don't have to expect your users to understand how blockchain works. You need
And
to
it's
understand.
useful, and it's
Yeah,
very
and
useful.
useful. And useful, yeah.
It is a real advantage, right?
It's useful and easy. So you as a builder needs to educate yourself to be able to create useful and invisible applications with blockchain. So could perhaps build the next Pix using Web3 as an infra.
Perfect, perfect, perfect way to end up our chat over here. Luigi, I want to thank you a lot. You are my first guest on the Insight series about your
Amazing. My pleasure.
on Ordinals. We are building together like more than 2 years ago. I'm I love what you guys are building on Lumix. Some incredible use business cases for many sectors of the industry. So I wanna give you some congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
Congratulations for us. Yeah, amazing.
for us. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Wish you all the best for Christmas, for the new year, and of course that 2024 to be an amazing and incredible year for all of us. And I hope to see you to see you next time very quickly.
Yeah, once again, Bruno, thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you, Paula, for helping us today. And thank you, everyone, that shared your time with us today. It was an amazing pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
See you
bye.
guys. See you, Luigi.
See
Bye
you.
bye.